And welcome once again to the Noise podcast. This is Kev the Noise Davis, Karts to Cars, as you say, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome in episode number 12, Mr. Brock Thornton. Brocky,
Kevin,
thank you for coming.
Hey brother, how are you?
Good, mate. Thank you for joining us in the isolation studios once again.
It's pretty flashy here, mate.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, but it's
awesome.
great to have another racer with me. As I've always said in every show so far, it starts off with, where did you start and why did you start in karting? Tell me about your beginnings.
Oh, well, that's a few years ago now. So 2009, 2010, I think it was. Dad said to me, I said to Dad, I'm like, hey, I want to go karting. And he said to me, he's like, righto, if you want to do it, let's go halves in a kart. So anyway, long story short, young 11, 12-year-old me saved up $800. And I went to him with $800 cash and said, here you go.
Yeah.
And he said, bloody hell, where'd you get that from? So anyway, yeah, long story short, that was how we started our career. And bought a dirt cart in 2009 or whatever it was, and we went from there. So
was that comma engine on that cart, or was it?
No, they're a Briggs. They're just a Briggs. Yeah, because
it was it Marmar Creek or
Marmar Creek was the original
race
track.
first of all. Yeah, and that's got. I've seen the sign. I've got a photo with the sign, but I believe it's a track with a bit of elevation. So a dirt track with a bit of elevation.
Heaps of elevation.
It's quite a cool track, I believe.
Yeah, so it was cool because obviously slick tyres on the dirt, not a lot of horsepower, which was good for later on in my career. But yeah, it was definitely tricky and challenging, that's for sure.
Yeah, cool. So when I talk about dirt karting, a lot of people, you go to Ipswich City Dirt Kart Club, and during the night that one grips up like a sprint car circuit. Grips up.
Yep.
Does Marmar Creek grip up? Because it's a bit different there. It's like elevation and
it still gets a race line through it. Like don't get me wrong, if you're out in the boonies, then you're out in the boonies and you're in the tire wall. So it's definitely got that fine sort of line.
Yeah. What kind of lap times around there? Is it
oh mate, I couldn't remember.
Shortish? Is it a 30-second lap? Or is it a 40-second lap?
It's not a huge track.
So it's about a 500-metre track. Like
roughly I think it is. Yeah, but like you say, there's plenty of hills and undulation, all that kind of fun stuff, which is awesome.
That's the different part about it. I think that's probably why people like going there, because it's very different to almost any other dirt kart track.
Yeah, and the guys run reverse as well, so obviously you come up over the hill onto the straight and then going backwards as well. You got to come up over the hill and trying to get it slowed and rotated. It's a heap of fun.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, that was a great beginning then, and I think Rookies Champion, is that right? Where was that?
Yeah, it was still at Marmar. So basically my whole dirt kart career, we raced at either Ipswich or Marmar. So that was the main two local tracks. We didn't have to travel too far from Toowoomba. It was only Ippy's only an hour and a bit down the road, which was good. So
and obviously moving on into your karting career as it went on, club championship a win, senior championship a win. Was that again in dirts?
Yeah, still in all the dirt kart stuff. So like I said, we raced that from 2009 roughly to 2014.
Yeah.
And then we obviously stepped into the bitumen stuff. So I always wanted to do that. Like I've had obviously a big interest in bitumen karting since a young fella. Yeah. We'd always go down to watch, KA, whatever. What was it called back then? Yeah. What did they used to call it? Race of Stars, all that kind of stuff back at Ipswich with the KZs and stuff. Yeah. So just was always hooked. And my dream as a kid was always to race a KZ at Ipswich. So
given we'll not talk about your later career yet, but if you were given the chance now, right now, two cars. That one you can go and race on the dirt. That one you can go race on bitumen. This weekend you're going racing. Which one would you choose?
Oh, that's tough. It is tough. The KZ on the bitumen is next level. Yeah, you can't
I've driven one at Race of Stars. I've driven that circuit, and you're right. It's a bit full on.
Yeah, dirt karting was always awesome because, like, for what we did, low horsepower, not a lot of grip. You had to be on the money. Setup had to be good. Driver had to be good.
But now they've got DD2s racing at Ippy Dirt Kart Club.
I see that. Yeah,
and it's 115 kilometres an hour down the straight. It's a bit full on.
I watched one bloke there the other day. He had two X30s on the thing.
Yeah. Twin engines. Yeah, they're mad. Yeah, twin engine 4-strokes as well. Plenty, but they're tweaked. Yeah, none of them are standard. They're really quick.
We had to go a little while back. I bought a X2 chassis, I think it was, an old Arrow, and we had a mod engine on it. So it was still a 6 horsepower, but it was making 22 horsepower, whatever it was, E85, big X30 carby on all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we raced it for a little while. We raced at Ipswich and then we raced at Marmar as well. Had a bit of fun. So just for something to do on the off season.
Cool. So you moved from dirt and you've gone into bitumen. Now let's talk about where you've got. First of all, let's talk about some highlights. Queensland 3 in the restricted light 2018 and Queensland 2 in the open performance 2020. Where were they? What were you doing?
So that was through Toowoomba Kart Club. Yeah. They had their sort of own.
I remember they had their own championship, the Queensland Championship. Yeah. It was because there was a private club back then, wasn't KA. Yeah. But everybody wanted to go and race there because they got a state title.
It was bigger than the KA rounds.
So it was a true state championship because all the best drivers came to Toowoomba specifically for that state title.
It was absolutely jam packed. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So we had our old X3 Arrow. Everyone was buying new gear, and we just rocked up with our kart that we had, and Desi ended up putting a rocket engine for us. And we ended up got it rebuilt, and we run pretty decent in that.
So you've been in bitumen karting at this point for about 3 or 4 years, haven't you? So you got some experience. So you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
At Toowoomba.
Yeah.
Had you raced elsewhere, and who was running your spanners? Were you learning the setup? Because a dirt kart track, a dirt kart club, and a dirt kart is a little bit different to the setup and the bitumen.
Yeah, it was
I think it's chalk and cheese. So where did you learn to get that kart set up in a bitumen? Was that just suck it and see, or did you have a pit crew that helped you?
What were you just Dad and I, basically. So obviously we used to set up the dirt kart, but like you say, they're night and day difference. So the bitumen kart was definitely a learning curve. It took us a little while to get the hang of it and try to be, nice and smooth on the wheel, very smooth with the inputs on the dirt. You were sort of not as aggressive, but you definitely learn. Like you get bad habits from either. So we struggled for a little while, but it was just one of those things. Like setup wise, Desi once again from Power Public, he gave me a lot of help in the early days, and we just sort of went from there. But that 2018 or whatever year it was, I think it was 2018. My memory's getting bad, mate.
I've got it written down. Well, it's a secret then. We'll have questions later.
Yeah, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I think it was 2018, whatever it was. Nick from Hobbs Drive, Nick Hobbs, he come over and give us a hand. And he was doing a lot of my data stuff, so we were taking photos of tyres, and we took that one pretty bloody serious. Because I wanted to have a crack at it, and we wanted to go and have a win. So, to come out Q3 in the Toowoomba title was probably a good highlight. Just
little things that I've learned recently from Rudy Farkas helping us with the 4-stroke and the endurance. Little things like camber and distance between tyre, in and out, rear and front, and it's so important to get that dialed in throughout an event to get it to come off corners, and the width of the tyres will slow you down and not allow it to drive off corners. And everybody knows understeer, oversteer, but there's a lot more to it. Getting off, it's not just jack and get that right. There's a lot more, isn't there?
Especially when the track evolves too. Especially when you've got a heap of categories out there, especially with soft rubber or rubber the track up.
Yeah.
So you hear people talk about it in speedway or even like on the bitumen as well. Like Ipswich is a prime example. That track will rubber up through the day. So you're tuning the thing the whole time.
Yeah, cool. I can imagine that was really good fun. Let's switch from bitumen, because you've had many successes in that. You had a great time, and I've obviously watched you quite a few times. When we had the Noisy Tour, I remember some great battles. You had a Kalula with some absolute crackers. Great fun.
With Dan Hutchinson, I remember that one.
Dan the man. It was brilliant. Yeah. But endurance racing, I mean, you've spent almost as long in endurance racing too. So give us a rundown on which endurance racing you've done and where and what you did.
So we did the SEK series. Was it SEK? SEQ? What did they call it?
SEK QLD.
That's right. Yeah. So we did that for, how many years we did that for? 4 years?
It would have been 4 or 5.
Yeah, so I was out Warwick having a test one day.
Yep.
And Steve Pickett, Steve Lamb were out at Warwick.
Yeah.
And I had my Rotax out there at the time. They said, hey, do you want to jump in this thing? We've just bought it, wherever they got it from, New South Wales or somewhere. It was a Tika cart. And they said, can you have a run in it? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, no worries. Anyway, we dialed the thing in. I pulled like 2 or 3 seconds out of the lap time. Like, just little tweaks, nothing major.
Yeah.
And, Lammy said to me and Pico said to me, do you want to have a run? I was like, yeah, cool. So anyway, long story short, that's how that came about.
Yeah.
And, jumped in with B1 and B2, my man Brock Lanoy.
Yeah.
We had plenty of success in that old girl. We had a ton of fun.
It was good. It's Brock's KZ that I had to go in round Extreme. When you had that for
the old energy card or whatever it was.
Oh my God, yeah, what a weapon. Yeah, I can imagine why you got excited about KZs, because they are great fun. Yeah. So endurance racing, tell me, when you had obviously 2-3 drivers in the team and it's multiple hours, what kind of strategy did you run there? Was it all about keeping it smooth and keeping it clean and getting as consistent a lap time as possible, or did you get the race face on and just try and bike past everybody?
You do,
because you've got to do that anyway. But there's a degree where it becomes not as advantageous, because you've just got to try and get through. You
come from sprint karting where it's go out of the gate 100 miles an hour and you've got to win. Like you got to go as fast as you can for as long as you can.
Yeah.
This thing, you'd probably drive the thing at probably 70-80%, but dial it in at a number and do that the whole time.
Yeah.
So, personally, you could always go way faster, but you got to look after the thing. You got, you might have another 6 hours of racing to do. So.
Yeah. And what tracks did you race in the Enduro series?
So the main ones were Toowoomba, We raced at Ipswich. We did the 12-hour down there.
Yeah. That's hard. 12 hours, because that's long stints too.
Yeah.
And if the weather's against you. Oh.
Yeah. Kalula, we raced there. We did the 2-day one up there. I think Brock got run over or he hurt his hand or something silly. So he was doing 20-minute stints because that was the minimum driver time.
And you were doing the
I was doing the hour or 59 minutes and 40 seconds or whatever we got it down to.
Almost a tap it. Get me out of this thing.
Get me out, yeah. So
and that can be, that's wrist pump and you get cramp in your feet. Everything, lots can go wrong. People don't realise. An endurance race, it's not just about 52 second laps.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, especially if you're passing lap cards or whatever you're doing. Like we were lucky, we did have some form of a radio so we could talk back to the boys. So normally they'd forget that the radio was on, they'd go and have a pee or go to a canteen or something. I'm like, hey boys, can I have a burger and a chips as well? And so you've got to try and keep your race face on, but same deal, you've got to try and be able to separate a little bit from going 110% something. So
if we were to compare now, I'm going to do the same thing again. If we were to compare dirt karts, sprint karts, or endurance racing, which one was more fun?
More fun, I reckon, with a group was definitely the enduro stuff. Yeah. That was a ton of fun travelling around with the boys, running an absolute muck. Yeah. And then you'd have a few beers after the night, after the race. And it was always good. Like get to catch up with you and
SEK run a good show too.
They do.
Good fun.
They do. I thought their rules were very good and very fair. Everyone was very hungry and very determined to win too, which I liked as well. So they were like, "Oh, I can't give you all the secrets. We can help you a little bit, but we had that first round at Toowoomba. We practiced on the Friday, blew an engine up. So I'm pretty sure you and Lammy or someone come all the way back down here to the coast to pick an engine up, which was our spare. Put it back on. And then we run the thing at like basically limping around all day on the Sunday or whatever it was, and we actually won our class. First time out. That was awesome. So brilliant. We definitely turned a few heads that day.
Fabulous. Now we're going to stay on the karting thing just for a little bit longer. Because I specifically want to ask about the Sodi World Series. Now, just tell us what that is and how it came to be. And then we'll talk about some international racing. So give us a rundown on where the Sodi thing was and what you actually did.
So I work for Adrenaline Sports in Toowoomba, which is just a hire kart facility. They had Sodi basically had like a leisure karting series, which they call them a leisure kart, hire kart, whatever you want to call them. We were one of the few to actually, do the competition. So if you wanted to have the chance to race overseas, you had to compete in this competition. So we registered our business. A lot of other guys in Australia did as well. And basically it was like a set number of races that you had to do. There was points per races, all that kind of stuff. So you had to qualify, heat races, all that kind of stuff.
Similar to the kind of thing they used to have at Extreme, which was that endurance.
Similar, yeah. I never did that one,
teams.
But yeah.
It was quite a big show, that one too. So
we had roughly, I think there was 14, 16 people that were like constantly doing it at home. And it come down to basically the final race. It was Mitch Chimes and myself to, win the ticket. So, I got him and had the big W, and I was actually pretty stoked. So I've been out of karting for a while at that point. I was only doing bits and pieces, and I was like, bugger it, I'll have a crack and see what happens. And long story short, we won the Australian division, and we got to go over to Belgium and have a crack over there. So.
International racer. Tell me all about the Belgian race, mate. What happened there? Right from the start, what happened? Because you're going to rock up now, and it's going to be a little bit kind of new to you, new track, new everything, and 100 other guys there, I'm sure, who want to win. So that's a bit of an eye-opener to start with. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so we flew in on the Wednesday, I think, and practice was Thursday. So it was like, 20-hour flight. We're absolutely.
Do you have a number and pick a cart?
Basically, you get a race number for the weekend. So I think we're number 80-something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they give you your number and a transponder, basically, and they just put it on your cart, and then that's your cart. But what happens is they'll line 40 carts up in the in-grid, and no matter how they roll in, if you start off pole, for example, that number will go on whatever cart rolled in first.
Oh, yeah, right.
So our mate that could have finished, 25th, rolled in on that other lane in first, then you get that cart.
Yeah, right, okay.
One cart I had in one of the races, it was in a shunt, and I said, "Oh mate, I'm like, bro, the axle's bent." He's like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, "You could see it, literally, our mate's like rolling up." So I think our pre-final, I had that thing. We got pushed from the back, and I come up to 18th or something, and then pushed off again, and Yeah, so
there's a bit of luck involved with the bloody thing as well, and obviously they're not going to repair them on the go.
I'm like, like the big official guy's like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm like,
just right.
Anyone that knows anything in motorsport could see that the axle's like it's hopping along as it's going down the pit lane.
God.
So I had to go to the
how long were the
dentist
heats? What were the heat race lengths?
The track was pretty long, so it's Genk. So that's originally where Max Verstappen was, like, that's his home track basically, which is cool. So they've got a heap of Max Verstappen stuff there.
Yeah.
I think there were eight lap heats, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So fitness was obviously one thing because the track was quite big.
Yeah.
Those cars aren't super physical, but it's very mental. So you have to be on the ball, brake marker, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you miss it by a little bit or miss the throttle by a little bit, it might cost you 1 or 2k an hour.
Yeah.
You had to bump draft and have to work with someone.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I met a couple of guys in practice which are really good. There was one guy from Dubai. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. And we practiced together and we had a couple of races together and we kind of worked together to come, if you had a good quali, you might have been up in the top 5 or whatever, pushing forward.
Yeah.
If you had a rough quali, we had one qualifying there. We were second, peed down with rain, absolutely torrential.
Yeah.
I got onto pole in the rain, and then the next lap it started to dry off because the track was hot, humid, so it rained for like 2 laps and it was dry again. And I come into basically the last turn and got shunted into the grass on a hot lap again, so we would have been able to move forward. Got pushed in the grass, and everyone else was on the dry line. And by the time I got back on the track, I think we were back on like 16th or something.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those experiences. You have to be very lucky. Anything in motorsport, you got to be lucky, but
drivers from all around the world, 50th out of 100.
Yeah,
even with the dramas, that's not too bad. Then when you consider
it was okay.
A brand new track, I'm sure there's people that knew it.
A lot of people.
There would have been some locals that knew the place. So.
Yeah, it was like once again the race car driver in me is like, I could have done way better, but to finish P50 is probably not too bad.
Yeah.
We were a lot higher in the points, but coming into the final again, shunted.
Yeah.
So it's just so hard. Like you got to have a crack, and the karts are identical. So if you have a shunt or you get pushed off or whatever, then you get freight trained by like 10 of them. So it's no different to racing here, but they're a lot more like rough and tumble kind of deal.
Yeah.
So
I suppose there's still a fun though because you've got it on your resume, international driver.
Yeah, it was cool.
Not many have got that.
No.
Let's face it, not many have got that. So it's cool. Yeah, and I do know some that are going over to that the T4 thing, but it's a 16 grand trip.
Yeah,
it's not cheap. You need some sponsors behind you if you're going to do international racing or do some of that stuff where it's not just to a local track. You've really got to get people behind you because it can be quite exy.
Yeah, Adrenaline Sports helped me out. Obviously, they paid for some of my flights and that kind of thing. And just basically my sponsors that I have on the race car or through the kart, they give me a hand as well. So there was plenty of people that give me a hand to get over there, which I really appreciate. So
right. So in karting, we've had rookie champions, we've had championship wins, we've had all sorts going on, we've had endurance wins, we've got it all going on. International driver. Then you've gone into cars, and I think there's still been karting during the car racing career.
Yeah, I was.
But let's talk about where it all started.
Yep.
Mod Light, you jumped in first.
Yep.
Bit of a practice in 2017.
I think it was.
And what kind of track did you have a crack in at that? Where did you practice? What was it like? What did you think of that to start with?
So I jumped in the Mod Light. Dale Sawinski had a Mod Light when I was working for Pro Graphics at the time, doing some stickers on his car.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he's like, "What are you doing on Saturday night?" I was like, "Nothing. Why?" He said, "You're going to jump in the car." I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" Like typical, you don't think about it. You just say yes.
Yeah, I'll have a go.
Yeah, I'll have a go.
Yeah.
Jumped in and it was an experience. Like once again, never been on a proper speedway.
Yeah. So you're now into the first time in an oval.
Yeah, apart from racing a bit of speedway cars here and there, but jumping into the big arena with a car that I'd never driven, never sat in. He had his big seat in it, and I was like, obviously, me trying to.
Did he let you send it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a Mod Light, did you have to get loose in turn 1, turn 2, or was it flat and try not to drift?
Just try and keep the car under you. Yeah, just try and keep the car under you. You can obviously let them out a little bit, but you're trying to keep the car under you at all times. So it was an experience. They're a 1000cc fuel injected thing. So it was.
Is that an R1 Suzuki GSXR type engine?
It was a ZX10 that one.
Okay.
So but
they're real torquey too.
Plenty of torque.
My brother had a ZX10 and that's got all low down, man.
Yeah.
But those guys, you put them in a gear and leave them in a gear, don't you?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So you don't change your gear.
I forget what gear we run it in now. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it'd be third or fourth, I think.
Something like that. Third, I think it
was.
Those
ZX10s, they do 105 in first, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's just mental.
It's got plenty of power. It had plenty of power.
Incredible
sure.
things. Yeah,
So, yeah.
Crazy. Now, let's quickly move on to the sprint car, which is on the screen behind us.
Yeah.
That there, you can't see, but that right there is a sprint car. It's a 410.
It was a
I was going to ask you, did you own a 360? You own a bloody 410. So you didn't start at the beginning, you started at the top end.
Yeah.
Tell me all about driving one of those bad boys.
Yeah, best experience of my life. Excuse me. Yeah, best experience. Yeah, Anthony Lambert's been a family friend of ours for a long time, and I helped on his car from a young age, and him and Dad used to race motocross together. So he said, when you're old enough, young fella, he said, you can have a drive of the car. And I was over there, same deal, Friday night, getting the car ready, helping him, and he's like, oh, we've got to practice in a couple of weeks. Do you want to jump in? Straight away, I was like, let's go.
Do I?
Yeah. So I got a practice license.
Is the Catholic Pope?
Yeah, exactly.
the Pope
Yeah. I jumped in and, the rest is history. So we did I think it was 3 or 4 heats that night. So, yeah, just struggling because with my long legs, like trying to get in the car, like, doing just little adjustments that I wasn't very comfortable with. But towards the end of the night, we got comfy and track was like black slick, like no traction at all. And to drive the car smooth was definitely good. And that's what Anthony said to Dad. He's like, you can tell he's a bitumen karter because he's like just very smooth on the wheel. Throttle inputs was very nice. So he was really happy with me, which was awesome. So
and that, isn't it right? Sprint car circuit racing is probably one of the only vehicles that is power to weight ratio more than a Formula One car. Is that yeah?
So like realistically, they're making over like a good engine's over 900 horsepower and they weigh roughly 660. 660 kgs.
That's just incredible, isn't it? Yeah, people don't realise they wheel stand on the straights and then just
the power is unbelievable.
And
that's what Anthony said to me. He's like, you got to obviously drive the car quite hard to make everything work because. The 500's the same. Like if you're putting around, they don't really like to turn and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be under it and keep the thing going.
In karting nowadays, everyone's using data. Do they use data in sprint cars?
They do have a little bit of data, but not a lot.
Not really needed.
Not a lot. So for the engines and stuff, they obviously have a few. Like they have like the old weather stations, like we do at the karts. Yeah. But in terms of data, they haven't really got a lot. So they've got a little tel-tac on the dash, tells you RPM, and an oil pressure and a water temp gauge, and that's it. Yeah. Basically.
Now, 2018 to 2022.
Yep.
The famous 55, the Formula 500. I came to see you a few times.
You did.
Watching. I've even
got some of the merch,
I've got the T-shirt.
Good on you,
but man, you've done some proper races and had some good success. Tell us about what got you into the Formula 500 and how much fun. And tell us the engine. Yep. Is it fuel injected, that one?
So they can be carbied or fuel injected. So our first season we raced was 2018. Yeah. Bought the car from a guy in Sydney. Went down, met him halfway. I think we met him at Tamworth or something like that. Picked the car up, brought it home, and jumped in it. Put some stickers
sleep
on.
with it.
Yes,
in new tool.
Tuck it away. Rolled it in the shed and just went over it, repainted it, put some stickers on it. Didn't touch the car at all. Yeah. We rolled out practice night, our first ever night, and who was it? One of the. Talia Appelt, her mum come up to me and she's like, oh, you been racing these cars long, mate? I said, no, it's my first night. She's like, oh, that's strange. I said, oh, why's that? She's like, oh, you said quick time. So we set all three practices, we were quick time in our group. There's only 3 or 4 cars there, but for our first time jumping in the car, I thought that was pretty awesome. Never driven one in my life. So.
Wow, awesome. But I guess having the experience of the sprint car and the model underneath you kind of knew what you had to do. Yeah. But it's about getting used to the drive, the acceleration, and where it's going to give way, and where you need to keep it straight to get the power down and get as fast landing over as you can. So where did you drive that? Was that Archerfield?
No, it was Toowoomba.
No, so
that was
I think Toowoomba's better than Archerfield. That's a big track.
I love Toowoomba.
I think it's great. And was it more banking then, or has that been steep? I've heard it's been steepened up.
It's always chopping and changing. They sort of took a bit out, then they've added back in, and it's come back down. So that was 2018. So that was a few years back now.
And what was the lap time around there? 13, 14?
13 something, I think we were doing. That's 14, whatever it was.
That would be an average of 90 odd, would it? Or something?
It's pretty, it's moving. I can't remember the data off the top of my head. So, but she's pretty quick.
That'd be great fun.
Just keep the thing
Successes in the 55, what did you what were your main highlights of the few seasons that you raced in?
We had a few heat race wins, obviously, which is cool. A couple of podiums, that kind of stuff.
Second in the club championship?
Yeah, 2021, I think it was, or 22.
Right.
To finish behind Liam Williams, I thought was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Liam's a hot driver. He's very experienced and one of the best in the country, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's won the Australian title 5 times now. So.
So if you're second to him, that's as good
pretty
as a win, isn't it?
Yeah, I was pretty happy. Like, once again, the race car driving, he's like, we should have done better, but it's the same deal. He's the pick of the bunch out of anyone in Australia, I think. Yeah. He's just an absolute weapon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was pretty stoked with that to finish with our old car and our old engine. Like, we've only got it was a 2008 model Swift chassis, so an older chassis. It had more bends in it than a banana.
Yeah.
And, the engine, Benny at BRM, he tickled it up for us a bit, and we run that car like that for 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And we just put Jetco fuel injection on it, one of the early style injections.
Yeah.
And Ben tickled it up and put on the dyno, and the rest is history.
Fuel injection make much difference to carby settings?
A lot more. It was a lot more drivable. The carbies were very on and off. Like if you're in traffic, they were a bit hurt. Like they'd sort of lay over a bit. As where the injection was a lot nicer in traffic. So those things you drive basically wide open the whole time. But if you've got a lift, for example, if someone's sliding you or you're trying to get under them or whatever, then the injection was a lot more drivable.
Yeah. All right, cool. Now you've done dirt karting, sprint karting, endurance karting. You've driven a sprint car in a Mod Light. You've driven a Formula 500 and done multiple seasons. What on earth made you get into a VE Commodore? Tell me all about that. What happened there?
So I sold the 500 because, once again, it was an older car, and I said to the old man, I was like, realistically, for us to do another season, we've got to go and spend some big dollars.
Yeah.
Because I want to buy a new car, new engine, to be competitive. Because that class is obviously growing and growing and growing, and those guys are just chucking big dollars at them.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't. Like, some of them are still quite reasonably priced and, doing well, but for us, we wanted to be at the pointy end and try and, take those wins off Liam. But, so I had sort of 8 months, 6 months off sort of thing. Didn't do a lot. Watched a bit of motorsport on the telly and relaxed for a bit, and, decided to build an endurance car. So, through... just on Marketplace one afternoon, I was scrolling. I was like, "Oh, that car looks cool." Bought it for like $3,000, factory manual thing. Yeah. And stripped it, put a roll cage in it, and went endurance racing.
So where did you go endurance racing with that? Where were the circuits? What series was it?
That's through motor events. Yeah. So they do a lot for Rare Cancer Australia, which was awesome. So it was really awesome to support those guys. But it was basically 3 or 4 drivers. So going back to the endurance. Is that
like the 12-hour they just had at Morgan Park?
Exactly.
I was offered a drive.
It was a 20-hour actually. It was a 12 and an 8.
I was offered a drive, but I couldn't afford the $2,500. I think it was entry because each driver pays an amount. But I honestly thought, ooh, shall I not? But I couldn't afford it. I thought, no, I've got too much on. So it looks like fun.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. So we bought that car, like I say, roll cage, kept the car basically stock as a rock, give it to Jesse at Maddock Tuning up at home, and he ran on the dyno, and he's like, that'll do. So, anyway, long story short, put a set of brakes on it and some coilovers and nice seat and steering wheel and all the flash stuff to keep me nice and safe.
Yeah.
We went car racing. So.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we raced at Lakeside. We had a few dramas. It was first day out, obviously. But I forget where we finished. We weren't too bad. We definitely finished the weekend pretty strong. I think.
So were the other races Morgan Park and QR, or was it all Lakeside? Where were the races?
So we did one at Lakeside, and we only got one at Morgan Park. Yeah. We're meant to do that one at QR. We did the one at QR, and then we were meant to do the one at Morgan Park, but I had interest in the car, so I didn't race it, and I sold it that same weekend.
Oh, so right, yeah.
Someone's like, I've seen that car, I want to come and buy it. Oh. So I ended up selling the car. So.
Right.
Long story short, definitely wanted to keep doing it, but it was the same deal, like trying to organise 4 drivers all the time. People are obviously a bit financially tight at the moment as well, so you're saying, hey, can I have a couple of grand? And they're like, oh. Plus you obviously got to put tyres on the car, fuel, wear and tear, all that kind of stuff. It adds up pretty quick.
Now I think if you're offered good money for a car like that, you're not going to say no, because clearly there's something else in your mind. And I think it turned into be a legend car, didn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, it did. So, it was sad to see the red car go, but like you say, I was on Marketplace again. I need to stay off Marketplace.
I think the legend cars are one of the best looking
cars
cool. Out there, though. But I haven't seen many on track yet. It's like the when you go and see the Aussie race cars, you don't see many of those with that particular it's almost like a legend shape. Yeah. Whereas most of them the bubble shape.
So the Aussie race cars are like they're a water cooled engine. Ours are just air cooled. Yeah. The newer legend cars, the newer engines are a 900cc 3-cylinder water cooled.
Yeah. So they're not a motorbike engine. They're a proper.
They are are still a bike engine.
Oh, right,
but they the newer ones, like I say, they're a 3-cylinder. The older style ones that we have are a 4-cylinder. Yeah. They're a 1250 Yamaha. So they're an
like the FJ or an FJ.
XJR 1300 they come out.
Yeah, I know it, yeah.
So no, it's been good. So I've only done one show in it, one practice in it. Yeah. I had a few dramas with the engine, just head studs stripped for some.
Is it similar to the Formula 500?
way different.
Is it?
Night and day different.
Wow.
So I can't describe to you how different they are. Just obviously the wing car, like the 500 or whatever, you just pinned the whole time and driving as hard as you can to get it through the corner.
Yeah.
These things are very much hard in the throttle down the straight, and you got to lift to try and get it to rotate.
Yeah, right.
Bit of trail braking, settle it down, and then roll the power back in.
Because it will drift on you, but
it's the same deal. You want to keep the car.
Too much drift, you slow down too much, so you've got to get that fine line between the two, I guess.
So we're pretty happy with our times. Like, they were pretty good straight off the rip. So the other night we were in the 16.1s. So had a couple of people comment on my post and like, oh, that's moving. So I think we're doing something right. Well, I hope so anyway.
Yeah. and is yours the 900 there, or is yours the...
No,
the one you've got right now
it's the 1250.
It's the 1250, right? And are you going to leave that as it is for this season? So you're going to race that for the whole season with that engine as it is. How many will be in that series, and where will you race? Who will you race with?
So all the speedway ones will stay at 1250 or a 1200 for a long time anyway. Because I think a new donk's like 45k.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money, but So basically, I wanted to do a bit of circuit racing with it as well.
Yeah.
So
you can just stick it on the track and just...
Yeah, so we can do both. So the only thing realistically you change is the diff. So put a different diff center in it, do a wheel alignment, obviously, because it's designed to turn left at the moment.
Yeah.
Change a couple of shocks over and put a different set of tyres on it and put a little Perspex windscreen in the front of it, a couple of little side mirrors, and you're right to go. So
and that's what the sticker kit looks like.
Yeah, pretty flash, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It's pretty flash.
And that look cool.
It's pretty flash.
Who does your stickers?
So Ryan at Mono Creations, he does all of my designs, which is originally Ryan from Thigh Designs. He's changed his business name. Dallas at Pro Graphics, so Dallas and Davis, they do all the wrap for me. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. If you have another shoot, by the way, photo shoot, I'll come and do it the next one.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
Because I saw the last one.
I know you did. I know you did.
That's a private joke, everybody. You have to see a post from a few years ago.
Yeah, hide that calendar.
Yeah. Mate, it's looking like it's going to be a really good season, though. So how many shows will you get to do in the Legend car this season?
I'd like to do roughly 8 to 10. Yeah. Obviously our first season, so they do a lot of travelling, so...
there'll be Maryborough, Toowoomba.
They've done one Toowoomba show already, which we missed because obviously trying to buy a car. Maryborough this weekend coming.
I commentated up there in some dirt carts a few weeks ago.
I did see that.
That's a good little track.
It's a good little track.
It's a good little track.
Yeah, we were on the 500 up there a couple of times. So good little racetrack.
Yeah. Will you get to McCosker?
Don't know.
Apparently that's really good. Everyone's raving about it. I went there when their first show, but literally it was that packed. I just finished commentating at Gladstone. It was a kilometre away to the walk. I've been parked and I've been on my feet all day. I'm not walking all the way in to go and stand all night at the track in a packed stadium. But it's apparently, people love it there.
Yeah, it looks
Sprint
good.
cars fit there too, so it'll have every show there eventually.
Because that's only drama, because Archfield's now gone. We've got to do a bit of travelling, which is fine.
Yeah, Sydney's too far, but I think you still got a choice within 5 hours of... is the Carina Bundaberg any good? Is that close enough?
Yeah, they race up there.
Tamworth has one.
Yeah.
They've got the car track next door to that, but I don't know what they have there.
Yeah, the other one's Roma they're looking at. They race out there. They do a couple at Toowoomba. So.
Yeah, and obviously Gladstone and T-Bar and Maryborough.
Yeah, there's a few. I'd have to look on the calendar. But yeah, that's the plan. So we want to try and, help that class grow a bit. And, help
So will it be a sort of... tune it through this season and see how it goes, and then have a proper tilt at it a whole season next season?
Hopefully, the next 3 meetings have got to start off the back. So just because of obviously new driver, we have to start off the back. But Haltech's come on board this year, which is a massive support from those guys. So we're actually one of the first cars in the country to put an IC7 dash in it.
Yeah, right.
It's just something nice and pretty and. Yeah, no data logging or anything like that. It's literally just telling me like an oil temp and oil pressure and that kind of thing. But Haltech approached me to come on board, and I was like, why not? So big thanks to those guys.
Other sponsors that you've got on board?
Galway's Parts again. So big thanks to Christian and all the guys there for supporting me as usual. Maddock Tuning. I've got HPP. Wire Lab. The list goes on and on and on. We've got Brooker from Brooker's Ranch Coating. He's going to do up some pretty wheel covers and stuff for me. Cool. So. Just everyone. Ben, BRM Mechanical, he's literally working on the car right now. I've just come from there. He's putting a new head stud in it because they're really bad for stripping head studs, and I don't know why. So it's done 2 now. Yeah. So when I bought it, they were just dicky. So, but just everyone who's been a part of it, I can't thank them all enough. So,
but if you want to see some cracker racing, the Legend cars this season, get on board with Brock's Facebook page.
Yeah.
And you'll see where it's going. And,
hopefully putting it towards the front, Kevy.
That'd be good. Mate, listen, thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been really good having you. Great story. Again, Karts to Cars, been awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody will enjoy watching. And it's been really good, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, fella.
Awesome job. Thank you.
No worries.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap.